The last aspect of Iyyaka na'budu that I would like to mention before moving on is that this statement also includes a pledge to remain obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in even the most adverse circumstances. In other words, even when things are pulling a person away in the worst way, pulling them away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then a person undertakes to do whatever it takes to remain committed to submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to submitting to the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now the history of Islam is filled with this. From the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, who was hindered in so many ways. He was hindered physically, he was harmed physically, he was hurt emotionally, he was pressured socially. His people, he and his people were trapped financially. All kinds of efforts took place. And the Muslims of that first time, whether it's Bilal radiallahu anhu, or it's Khabbab radiallahu anhu, or Sumayya radiallahu anha, or anyone who accepted Islam at that time, they met this opposition, this dangerous opposition that simply wanted them to stop doing that. But they persevered. And you'll recall that when Bilal radiallahu anhu was being tortured and big boulders were being placed on his chest, just so that he stops calling on Allah and he stops worshipping Allah. So he responded by saying, Ahadun Ahad. This is Iyyaka na'budu. That no matter what happens, I have only one, I have only you. And you are the one that I am going to remain submissive to, and that is, nothing in the world can change that. So you pick up the books of Seerah and the books on the lives of the Sahaba, and you'll find thousands of examples of what they did in order to persevere. So part of Iyyaka na'budu is the perseverance that is often required when sometimes a person's own iman is at a low. And other times there are circumstances that develop around them that are pulling them away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And sometimes it's the influence of people directly trying to get them to leave something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants them to do, or to do something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want them to do. And all kinds of pressure and tactics are used to get the person to do that thing, but a person says no. I have not pledged my submission to society if it displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or people if they displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or wealth if it causes me to displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or my own emotional ups and downs if it brings me to a position where I'm ready to compromise the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or threats, if those threats are trying to hinder me from obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I am going to conquer those, I am going to face those, and I will defeat them. But I will not give up or compromise my commitment and pledge to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all of these aspects that we have spoken about, when a person has made the effort to bring these aspects of this statement into their life, then they're ready for the next part. And inshallah we'll cover that in the coming sessions. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. فتهدي الضياء لها